The conquest is progressing. The Israelites are taking more and more territory. So now we are going to see another chapter dealing with some of Israel's adversaries and the manners of war. The Book of Joshua 10:1. When Adonai Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard how Joshua had taken Ai and had utterly destroyed it, doing to Jericho and its king as he had to Ai and its king, and how the residents of Gibeon had made peace with Israel and were among them. 10:2. He feared greatly because Gibeon was a great city, like one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all its men were mighty. So we see this king here, the king of Jerusalem, hear about the things that are going on, and he hears about how Gibeon has sided with Israel, that they have made a covenant with them. And this is something that upsets him, because they were supposed to all team up together to drive Israel out. But now there's a group that's splintered off, and they're doing their own thing, abandoning their allies to join Israel. And he doesn't like that. He's not a fan of that. The Book of Joshua 10:3. So Adonai Zedek, king of Jerusalem, sent to Hoham, king of Hebron, to Piram, king of Jarmuth, to Japhia, king of Lachish, and to Debri, king of Eglon, saying, 10:4. Come to me, and help me, and let us smite Gibeon, for it has made peace with Joshua and with the Israelites. 10:5. Then the 5 kings of the Amorites, the kings of Jerusalem, Herbon, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon, gathered their forces and went up with all their armies and encamped before Gibeon to fight against it. Countries in those days were very different than countries today. They were often significantly smaller. In many cases and many instances, they were what is known as city-states, where a city would essentially be its own country. And perhaps you would have a city and maybe a couple little villages around it, and that would be the essence of whatever the particular empire was. So the leader of these city-states, they would still be called the king. And that's why we're able to have 5 kings here in a small area, is because the land that each one of them possesses is not that great in scale or size. So Adonai Zedek is gathering together these different city-states, gathering the leaders of these different cities, and they are going to attack the betrayer, attack Gibeon, because they were supposed to join them in battle against Israel. And perhaps they thought if they knocked out Israel's ally, it would be easier to attack Israel. It's hard to say exactly what the mindset is there, but they're going out against Gibeon. The Book of Joshua 10:6. And the men of Gibeon sent to Joshua at the camp of Gilgal, saying, Do not relax your hand from your servants. Come up to us quickly, and save us and help us, for all the kings of the Amorites who dwell in the hill country are gathered against us. So there are thousands of people marching towards Gibeon and making camp. So they were discovered. And Gibeon, they are going to Israel for help and support. Their newfound allies that they've made through deception. They need help, or they are going to be wiped out and destroyed. And Israel is bound by the oath that they made to them. The Book of Joshua 10:7. So Joshua went up from Gilgal, he and all the warriors with him, and all the mighty men of valor. 10:8. And the Lord said to Joshua, Do not fear them, for I have given them into your hand. There shall not a man of them stand before you. So the Israelites are going to battle. But something that we see here that is good news for them is that the Lord is on their side and that he is going to deliver their enemies into their hand. We have seen a battle where the Lord wasn't with them. It didn't end very well. And all the battles we've seen where the Lord has helped them have turned out incredibly well for the Israelites. So this is a good sign. The book of Joshua. 10:9. So Joshua came upon them suddenly, having gone up from Gilgal all night. 10:10. And the Lord caused the enemies to panic before Israel, who slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way that goes up to Beth-horon, and smote them as far as Azkah and Makkedah. So Israel went on a journey towards their enemy, and it was a long journey, so it was nighttime when they arrived, and they attacked at nighttime. So they would not be very rested at this point. But the enemy was not expecting them, and they were caught off guard, and they began to panic. So they were not very effective against the Israelites, and it turned into a slaughter where the Israelites were really wiping these guys out. Just like the Lord had said that he was going to deliver them into their hand. The book of Joshua. 10:11. As they fled before Israel while they were descending the pass to Beth-horon, the Lord cast great stones from the heavens on them, as far as Azkah, killing them. More died because of the hailstones than the Israelites slew with the sword. So this is a long, protracted battle. I guess I mentioned before that it was a night attack, but they marched all night, so perhaps it was early in the morning before the sun was up, or just as the sun was coming up. And they're going to fight for an incredibly long amount of time. They've already marched all night, and now they're going to fight all day. So as they are fighting, they are pushing the enemy back. And we have all these different locations here being mentioned, which if you were looking at a map, that might make some sense. Some of the locations, it's hard to say where exactly they are now, but that's just how these things go after several thousand years. We also see here that the Lord is providing direct fire support. We have a hailstorm that is killing lots of people, more people than the Israel slays. So that is certainly a large group of individuals. The book of Joshua. 10:12. Then Joshua spoke to the Lord on the day when the Lord gave the Amorites over to the Israelites. And he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, be silent and stand still at Gibeon, and you, moon, in the valley of Ajalon. So this is one of the iconic miracles in the book of Joshua. The extending of the day, telling the sun to stop in the sky so that they can continue their battle and continue the slaughter, slaying their enemies. I've heard some people talk about how on the other side of the world in the North Americas that there was legends of a long night, and that would make sense. If there was a long day on one part of the world, there would be a long night in another. But I've never really dug into that deep enough to truly be able to say with pure conviction that that is indeed a reality. I've heard good people that I trust, but I haven't done the research myself to verify that. But it is an interesting topic. And there is other stories and legends around of the long day that had occurred. Now this miracle here, this is not just like an eclipse or something of that type. This is something different, separate, and distinct. And it is quite interesting. I've heard other people say, well, it couldn't have happened because maybe if the world stopped spinning so the sun was in the same spot, everybody would fly off of it. But then the counter to that is, well, it doesn't have to stop instantly. It could be over a period of time, and therefore people wouldn't go flying. So I don't know. It is what it is. It's a pretty cool miracle, and it is something that is probably worth diving into because it's different. There's nothing quite like it anywhere else. And that's one of the things that's cool about the book of Joshua. This is a cool miracle. Back to the matter at hand. The book of Joshua. 10:13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the nation took vengeance upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of the heavens, and did not hasten to go down for about a whole day. 10:14. There was no day like it before or since, when the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. 10:15. Then Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, to the camp at Gilgal. So this was an incredibly long battle, that it needed the day to be longer so that they could finish off their enemies. And the Lord extended the day. The Lord sent a hailstorm. The Lord was assisting. He was helping out. He was directly involved with this conflict. And after it all ended, they returned back to Gilgal. And we're going to see some more details of this battle here in the coming verses. 10:16. Those 5 kings fled and hid themselves in the cave of Makkedah. 10:17. And it was told Joshua, the 5 kings are hidden in the cave of Makkedah. 10:18. Joshua said, roll great stones to the cave's mouth and set men to guard them. So the kings, they had them on the run, and they went and hid in a cave, and then Joshua had them roll a rock in front of the cave to lock them in place and set guards there so they'd know if they managed to escape. It's a real brilliant strategy. So then the rest of the Israelites could continue the conflict, because I assume this was something that happened earlier on in the battle, that the leadership decided to run away, and they didn't really have the people to chase them all down. So by them going in the cave and locking them in the cave, they didn't have to chase them if they scattered all over the place or went back to their cities, so that they could focus at the task at hand, which was the extermination of all the people. The book of Joshua. 10:19. But do not stray, pursue your enemies, and fall upon their rear. Do not allow them to enter their cities, for the Lord your God has given them into your hand. So the commandment here is not to dilly-daddle, that they put the rocks in front of the cave entrance so they're trapped inside, and then get back to the fighting, fight these people off, slaughter them, so that they cannot go back to their cities. Because if they go back to their cities, they'll be fortified again, and they will be much more difficult to eliminate. Better to eliminate the enemy out in the open, where they don't have an advantage. The book of Joshua. 10:20. When Joshua and the Israelites had ended slaying them until they were wiped out, and the remnant remaining of them had entered into fortified cities. 10:21. All the people returned to the camp to Joshua at Makkedah in peace. None moved his tongue against any of the Israelites. So after Israel did all this battling, which was probably very long, seeing as the day was extended, and it was extended for about a day, and it was already a day to begin with, so a couple days of straight conflict, they returned to their camp. And there was no murmuring or complaining or whining, because the Lord delivered them, and it went exactly to plan. So the people didn't really have anything to complain about Joshua, complain about the Lord. They knew that the Lord was leading them and guiding them and directing them and giving them strength in battle, for they were victorious in many aspects. The book of Joshua. 10:22. Then said Joshua, open the mouth of the cave and bring out those 5 kings to me from the cave. So now that they've had a little bit of a respite, they're back in the camp. Joshua calls for them to bring forth these kings. They've been trapped in the cave for a little while now, but now it is time for the judgment. The book of Joshua. 10:23. They brought the 5 kings out of the cave to him, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon. 10:24. When they brought out those kings to Joshua, he called for all the Israelites and told the commanders of the men of war who went with him, "Come, put your feet on the necks of these kings." And they came and put their feet on the kings' necks. So this is a great sign of subjugation, that the leaders of these cities are put to the ground, and the leaders of the camps of Israel are placing their feet upon them, stepping on them, so to say, demonstrating that they are nothing to be feared, and that they have won, and that they have broken their enemy. They have their leader underfoot. The book of Joshua. 10:25. Joshua said to them, "Fear not, nor be dismayed. Be strong and of good courage, for thus shall the Lord do to all your enemies against whom you fight." 10:26. Afterwards Joshua smote and slew them, and hanged their bodies on 5 trees, and they hung on the trees until evening. So Joshua here is demonstrating to the people of Israel that there is no need to fear these people, these men, these kings, for compared to the Lord they are nothing. Then he has them executed, and then their bodies are hung on the tree. Cursed is he who hangs from the tree. So this is something that the enemies would be afraid of, but it would also demonstrate to the Israelites who the leadership was, that the leadership was indeed caught. Because not everybody could be around Joshua when he was talking and explaining things, so that they could see the dead body on the tree and be like, "Oh, that's who we were fighting? He's not so scary now." The book of Joshua. 10:27. At sunset Joshua ordered, and they took the bodies down from the trees and cast them into the cave where the kings had hidden, and laid great stones on the cave's mouth, which remain to this very day. So the Israelites, by their law, were not allowed to leave a body hanging up for multiple days at a time. They could hang up the body, but it had to come down by night, by the new day. And here we see them disposing of the bodies. They're placing them in the place that they were hiding, and then they walled off the door with rocks so that it sealed them in like a tomb. The book of Joshua. 10:28. Joshua took Makkedah that day and smote it and its king with the sword, and utterly destroyed everyone in it. He left none remaining, and he did to the king of Makkedah as he had done to the king of Jericho. So Israel has achieved a victory, but there are other cities in the area that are hostile to them that need to be eliminated. So that's what we are going to see in the next several verses. The book of Joshua. 10:29. Then Joshua and all Israel went from Makkedah to Libnah and attacked Libnah. 10:30. And the Lord gave it also and its king into Israel's hand, and Joshua smote it with the sword, and all the people in it. He left none remaining in it, and he did to its king as he had done to the king of Jericho. 10:31. And Joshua passed from Libnah, and all Israel with him, to Lachish, and encamped against it, and attacked it. 10:32. And the Lord delivered Lachish into the hands of Israel, and Joshua took it on the 2nd day, and smote it with the sword, and all the people in it, as he had done to Libnah. 10:33. Then Horam, king of Gezer, came to help Lachish, and Joshua smote him and his people until he had left none remaining. 10:34. From Lachish, Joshua and all Israel went on to Eglon, laid siege to it, and attacked it. 10:35. And they took it that day, and smote it with the sword, and utterly destroyed all who were in it that day, as he had done to Lachish. 10:36. Then Joshua with all Israel went up from Eglon to Hebron, and they attacked it. 10:37. And took it, and smote it with the sword, and its king, and all its towns, and everyone in it. He left none remaining, as he had done to Eglon, and utterly destroyed it and all its people. 10:38. And Joshua and all Israel with him returned to Debir, and attacked it. 10:39. And he took it with its king and all its towns, and they smote them with the sword, and utterly destroyed everyone in it. He left none remaining, as he had done to Hebron and Libnah and its king. So he did to Debir and its king. 10:40. So Joshua smote all the land, the hill country, the south, the lowland, and the slopes, and all their kings. He left none remaining, but utterly destroyed all that breathed, as the Lord, the God of Israel, commanded. 10:41. And Joshua smote them from Kadesh Barnea even to Gaza, and all the country of Goshen even to Gibeon. 10:42. Joshua took all these kings and their land at one time, because the Lord, the God of Israel, fought for Israel. 10:43. And Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, to the camp at Gilgal. So there was quite a few different battles here, and Israel had great victory over them because of the power of the Lord God. They did not fight with the same strategy versus all of them. As we saw, there was some variance in tactics. Some were sieged, some they simply battled the old-fashioned way. But in either case, the Lord led them to victory. So now there's a rather substantial section of land that is now in the possession of Israel. They don't have all the promised land yet, but they are taking it one city at a time. And we're going to see what happens next now that Joshua has returned with Israel to Gilgal, which was that place that they first went to or made when they first crossed the river. It's kind of like their home base for now.